Hello, everyone. My name is Seth, and today I'm going to talk to you about the chances of a couple of comic book sequels. So here over the last few days, there's been a couple of interviews or a couple statements made or whatever from a couple of different people that could potentially know something or be involved with a couple of sequels, mainly talking about Wonder Woman 3 and maybe possibly a Spider-Man 4 with Tobey Maguire. And so before I go any farther, go ahead and like this video, hit subscribe, and hit the bell icon so you never miss a video. First, I want to talk about Thomas Hayden Church's comments. He played Sandman, Spider-Man 3. He reprised his role again in No Way Home. And he had a couple of comments about a potential Spider-Man 4. Here's what he had to say. He said, there's always been I've heard rumors that Sam Raimi was going to do another with Tobey Maguire. And if that happens, I would probably campaign to maybe at least do a cameo. And even Sam Raimi has discussed this a little bit. He has said, I've come to realize after making Doctor Strange that anything is possible, really anything in the Marvel Universe. Any team-ups. I love Tobey, I love Kirsten Dunst. I think all things are possible. I don't really have a story or a plan. I don't know if Marvel would be interested in that right now. I don't know what their thoughts are about that. And he also goes on to say that he loves Tobey Maguire and he would love to work with him again, even if it's not something Spider-Man. And so first, my thoughts are on that, especially with Thomas Hayden Church saying like, hey, I'd love to cameo or do something with it. It's kind of like water wet, actor wants work kind of thing, So take it with a grain of salt. But, he said that he's heard things. He's heard something. And again, he could just be saying that, trying to campaign for another role in the future Spider-Man 4. But also, he might actually have some connections and be hearing things that a lot of people don't hear. Like there's a lot of journalists, a lot of news outlets that probably wouldn't hear some of those whispers if they are going on. So honestly, it's a little bit of kind of two things, take it with a grain of salt, but also a little bit of like where there's smoke, there's fire. So I'm not saying that you can completely disregard it. It's never going to happen. Because I've learned over the last 10, 15 years of movie news and things like that, if a question starts with, could something happen? Could blank? The answer is, could it? Yeah, possibly. It's, kind of talking about the likelihood of it. So I do think there is a potential for a Spider-Man 4 Tobey Maguire. And I got to say, I would really enjoy it. I do think they kind of gave him a little bit of a swan song in No Way Home. But I would love to see like an older version of Spider-Man. I'd love to see a story in that universe just telling a story with Peter Parker later in his life. I think that would be really, really interesting. And if you watched my video a little bit ago about where I talked about kind of the Sony Spider-Man-less universe, then I'm a fan of doing something like that. I don't necessarily think that their movies have been super successful, like with Morbius. I think Craven looks pretty bad. I'm not the biggest fan either of the Venom movies. So I think absolutely it would be a great idea to have a Spider-Man 4 with Tobey Maguire. You could totally have that going at the same time you have Tom Holland's. And sticking on the Spider-Man train a little bit, talking about having multiple Spider-Men kind of going at the same time, I think it's totally feasible. It's totally possible to do that. There's been also some rumblings about maybe an Amazing Spider-Man 3, giving that another shot with Andrew Garfield. And Andrew Garfield seems very open to it. I really like where they ended up putting Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man in No Way Home. Like, I like where they have his character. And I definitely think that there's more story to tell. And here's a couple of quotes from Andrew Garfield on the whole Amazing Spider-Man 3 thing. He said, "I think he's going back with a mind blown up with the cosmos and the universe and string theory and multiple dimensionality. He's going back incredibly reinvigorated." He also goes on to say that the story never ends, whether we film it or not. There's a story happening in a universe somewhere. There's endless potential with this character and all the different iterations. So yeah, he's definitely out there doing something. And I totally agree. There's definitely more story to tell with this version of Spider-Man. I think that would be a really fun opportunity to just have at least one more movie with him, kind of really give him a good send-off. But again, like I said, I would love if Sony were to kind of embrace just the multiple Spider-Man going on and just make good Spider-Man movies, just period. You don't have to worry about trying to make villains, anti-heroes, or whatever. Like, I don't care. Give me Andrew Garfield Spider-Man. Give me Tobey Maguire Spider-Man. Bring up a whole new version if you want. Keep doing the Tom Holland. Like, there's room for it all, especially with multiverse, everything. People are kind of into that now. There's a lot of it everywhere. So people understand the multiverse. People will get it. So I think there's totally room for that to happen. And honestly, I really would love for that to happen. I think that would be really fun, both with Andrew Garfield and Tobey Maguire. I think maybe if I were forced to choose one, Amazing Spider-Man 3 or Spider-Man 4 with Tobey Maguire, I might lean toward Amazing Spider-Man 3 because, he only got 2. Second one wasn't good. We can kind of round it out, tell a really good story, and there's more story to tell there, I think. Like I mentioned, they did give a good send-off to Tobey Maguire if he never puts on the spider suit again. But I almost think it kind of leaves Andrew Garfield's almost as like a jumping off point for more story. And the last thing I want to mention is about Wonder Woman 3. Maybe Gal Gadot had some thoughts on that just recently. She said, "I love portraying Wonder Woman. It's so close to and dear to my heart. From what I've heard from James and Peter," and that's James Gunn and Peter Safran, "is that we're going to develop a Wonder Woman 3 together." And so that's interesting because James Gunn and Peter Safran, it appears that they're completely rebooting the DC universe. And it doesn't really make sense to carry over any actors. If you're going to reboot it, go ahead and do a full reboot. But one of the things I've also thought, James Gunn did mention that they're going to tell Elseworld stories, like the Batman 2 that's coming out, and the Joker 2. Those are going to be considered like Elseworld stories, and that they're not going to shy away from telling Elseworld stories. So I think the only way this makes sense to me is if they do a Wonder Woman 3, but it's an Elseworld story. I don't think it makes sense with them trying to build a new universe to carry over actors playing the same role. Now, I know you might bring up like Peacemaker and things like that. He's mentioned Peacemaker being a part of the new universe. I think there's a way that you can kind of retcon some of it to make it fit in a new universe. But also, they kind of could say like, "Oh yeah, most of that stuff happened. Whatever, we'll catch you up. Here's Peacemaker in this new universe." Another thing that James Gunn has also said is that they're going to be very clear with people on what is the new DC universe and what is Elseworlds. And so I'm sure if some of these talks, some of these conversations start, building steam and lead to greenlighting projects, then I think we will be 100% aware. They will let us know, hey, Wonder Woman 3 is the Elseworld story. We're still telling a story that's in this universe. It's not a part of the new DCU. And I really like Gal Gadot as Wonder Woman. I think she does a good job. I wasn't the biggest fan when she was cast because I didn't really think she was particularly that strong of an actress. but I think she fit the role really well, and she did a good job, and she's gotten better as an actress. And I really, really loved the first Wonder Woman, and I still enjoyed Wonder Woman 84. I didn't hate it like a lot of people did. I still enjoyed it. So I would be for a Wonder Woman 3 with Gal Gadot if, that's a big if, but if it is an Elseworld story. Like I said, I will not like it if they try to say that Gal Gadot is the Wonder Woman for the new DC universe. That doesn't make sense to me. But I would be all for a Wonder Woman 3 with Gal Gadot, especially if it's Elseworlds. I would love to see her get another shot at a Wonder Woman movie. That's kind of a quick roundup of some comments recently made about some potential comic book sequels. Let me know in the comment section down below what you thought of these comments. What do you think the chances are of a Spider-Man 4 with Tobey Maguire, or Amazing Spider-Man 3, or Wonder Woman 3? What do you think those chances are of those happening? And would you be fine if Gal Gadot was the Wonder Woman in the new DC universe? Would you only want it to be Elseworlds? Also, let me know in the comment section below. I would love to hear your thoughts. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. Go ahead and like this video, hit subscribe, and hit the bell icon so you never miss a video. Follow me on social media at Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, Threads, TikTok, wherever you can find me, at CinemaSeth. And I'll see you next time.